Now, we're just going to read the confession and then just kind of give your thoughts on it.
Okay.
You cool with that?
Yep.
All right. The one last week was pretty funny. So you'll have to check that one when it airs tomorrow. This one says, all right, here we go. So this is from a girl because it says follow her. The screen name is @quack. I don't know if that means anything. But this is what it says. It says, I'm bi, and then in parentheses to put, just for some context. I currently have a boyfriend who I really like, but I recently met this girl, and I think I'm starting to have a crush on her. I'm definitely not going to break up with my boyfriend over this. In parentheses, she put, that's a stupid reason. But now that I have feelings for this girl, I'm feeling really guilty. How do I stop liking someone? Oh, shit. That's a weird-ass situation.
But typical.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah. What would be your advice to her if you could speak to her? I forgot her screen name. Do you think you would tell her to go for it?
Or quack.
Quack.
I would tell her that if she wants to be with her boyfriend, I would probably tell her what my mom tells me.
What does your mom tell you?
It don't matter where you get your appetite as long as you eat at home.
Ooh, okay.
But then she's saying that she has a crush, so.
Yeah, and then what if she really hurts her boyfriend?
By her feelings?
So do you think she should just go talk to that girl, or she should tell him?
No, I don't think she should act on it at all.
So just move on?
Yeah, like if she's saying that she wants to stay with her boyfriend.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I think if she is bi, first of all, she didn't say this, but I'm going to assume that he doesn't know that, right? Because I feel like if he did know that she was bi, then she could probably approach him about it. There's a reason, if I'm guessing, and I wish she would have wrote more, that she doesn't feel comfortable telling him that. But I think I wouldn't do anything to hurt the guy, for sure, because I think that I'd just talk to him. So my advice to her would be to tell him that she has feelings for a girl. And if he gets really upset about it, that's going to be an issue later on anyways, because I think in relationships, people forget to let the other person be a person. And it's kind of like your love language you were just saying. It's your job to understand their versions of stuff and help them figure that out. Me and Laura have actually talked about this, because Laura's hooked up with a girl before.
Okay.
And if she's not comfortable with me saying that, I'll cut it out of the podcast. I don't give a fuck. But we talked about that, and she had essentially, I think I told her at one point, like, hey, if you ever need to, like, I didn't get mad at her or anything. It didn't bother me. I'm like, hey, if you ever feel like you need to, like, figure that stuff out, like, I think it's my job as your fiance to, like, put you in a position to figure that out. And so whatever that is, if that ever comes up, let me know, and we'll figure it out together. Because I think it's important, right? Because, like, yeah, I love her. Yeah, I would rather, like, her not feel those ways about anyone else, regardless if it's a girl or a guy. But if she did, it would be my job to, like, help her figure it out, right? Because in this situation, this girl that wrote in, I think she needs to figure out if she likes girls or not. And so I would encourage her to tell him. And if he gets mad, then that's already an issue. If he's cool about it, I'm not saying that he's going to be like, yeah, go hook up with girls, but maybe he'll say, like, hey, well, like, do you, like, I'm glad he told me, you know what I mean? Like, can we, like, at least figure this out? Maybe, like, because if you're more attracted to girls than you are guys, I think you need to figure that shit out. And you're not going to figure that shit out until you explore it. Worst case scenario, you shove all that shit down and it pops up later on anyways. Because if you're meant to be with someone that you really, really like, it's going to happen anyways. That's my theory on it. So I'd rather, even if it breaks my heart, I'll put myself in that guy's shoes. Even if it breaks my heart, I would much rather break my heart now than to break my heart 10 years from now when we have a family that maybe you only stayed with me because you felt guilty about that. Like, I wouldn't want that.
I could see that.
So I think that she should tell him.
I guess it depends on how big of a crush, too. Like, she could tell him, hey, you know, if she hasn't already, tell him I'm into guys, I'm into girls. You know, I find both attractive. But if it's just like a little like, oh, I think she's cute or whatever, depends on what she means by crush.
But I feel like girls say that all the time. So if she said that as a guy, like if Laura told me, like, hey, I think this girl's kind of hot, like I'd be like, oh, she is hot or she's not hot. I would also give my opinion. I wouldn't understand that. So I think she would have to be way more specific. Like, because I think a crush is different. She didn't say I'm like attracted to this girl. She had crush. I mean, she also likes the girl for who she is as well. If I had to guess.
Yeah.
So I think that she would have to at least say that. But no, that'd be my advice.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see both sides.
Personally, I think it's important to marinate on things.
Yes,
And
that's a good idea.
Feel it out, figure out how big of a deal this really is, and if it's something that you really feel the need to act on, you know.
That's true. You should never just do shit.
There's really no point in opening a can of worms
that doesn't need to be opened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
that's my thought process.
I always think of it, I guess because me and Laura are friends, and so we talk as friends still, so I can't picture a situation where I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about it. But in the same breath, I also understand that's not everyone's dynamic. So if it's not her and his dynamic, I think maybe you're right. Maybe there's no point in
I think
doing
that should be everyone's dynamic, though.
Should be, huh?
And I think my wife and I are getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's taken some time.
I think as long as you understand that it's important for people to have that, even if you're... Like, if I was in a relationship and we weren't that way, as long as the person understood that I need that and allows me to maybe talk to one of my buddies that way or have that from someone else, I'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
So, and it would be the same thing back, right? But I think I'm just, like, mentally like that. Like, if I can't give someone something and they really need it, I think I should find a way to get them that thing.
Help them get it.
Yeah, if I'm not the one to give it to you, then let's figure it out. If you need someone that's nice and I'm way direct about everything, then maybe you need to hang out with your sister more who's nice or something. You need to have a relationship where you're getting
doesn't mean that you guys have to leave each other.
Yeah, or maybe I can be nicer
from me.
It's the hardest thing when someone's needs contradict who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one because you're like, well, I want to give you what you want, but like I also don't want to be anything other than myself. And so that's always a tough one. But I think if the two people care enough about each other, they'll find a way to make it work. Yeah. Whether it's them, maybe it's a little bit of both. Give up a little bit, maybe be a little nicer, but also understand nicer is good and not necessarily like nice all the time. Right. How about I say 3 less fucked up things this week, and I think that should be okay.